Hey guys, what's up? Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/eggshow. That's EGGSSHOW. Audible has more than 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or just about any device you can imagine. As Eggs listeners, you can download a free audiobook today by visiting audibletrial.com/eggsshow.
Bang ding ding, trademark. He come out 6'7" tall. Bang ding ding, 1 inch tall. Bang dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding. It is a perfect day.
Woke up to the sound of the garbage truck again. Upstairs neighbor's toilet's leaking on my head. Cars broke down, I missed the bus, there runs at 10. I had a feeling this was a day to stay in bed. I finally left my pad right under Jumbo's cloud roof. A police officer pulled out his gun and said, I said, sir, you got the wrong guy. I guess it's just a perfect day. It's just a perfect day. Na, 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 na,
Okay, we should be live. Hey, everybody, what's up? I'm Ryan. He's Mike. As usual, it's Eggs.
Yeah, we haven't done that intro in a minute.
So we're back. We are doing a quick little live show. We actually had a show queued up to play today, but it's been a bunch of drama in our life. I shouldn't say our life. It's really Mike's life. Well, I don't know. Did we talk about my breakdown too?
Oh,
I think we did.
the last one we did.
So anyway, so I've had some drama. Mike's had some drama more recently. And so the grand plan is we'll have this conversation while it's fresh and timely.
And then next week we have Dr. Jennifer Weiss.
Yeah, Jennifer Weiss.
She's an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah, female orthopedic surgeon, one of 6% in the country. And really interesting conversation. Actually, I had hoped to maybe catch up with her for coffee or something in LA, but it's not going to work out. So anyway, let's then, sorry, for anybody watching the stream, I'm running this controller from my feet and the desk. So
we actually were...
Yeah, maybe that's a good opportunity to talk about some of the studio upgrades and the things that have been going on around here.
So if you noticed, my face is nice and bright and shiny. We had some video cameras, like we have these HD webcams, and we've got these nice lights up there. So we've been trying to implement the video into the studio, and what's happening is Ryan's laptop, when the video starts kicking in, the fan kicks on in it, and you can hear it in the microphone. Especially now that we just added a new cloud lifter, which is designed for these Shure microphones to boost it. Essentially, it boosts the signal by 25 dB, so we can actually see the waveforms on our
yeah, it's awesome.
Audition.
So yeah, I mean, it's obviously technical stuff, but like anybody who's seen our videos, like these Shure SM7Bs are some of the better mics in the business. They're the one you should aim for if you're trying to start your own little podcast studio. They're great. But the downer is that they're kind of quiet when they just sort of run directly into a recording device. So we've used a number of different devices for this show, but when we run it into the computer, it's always been a little bit quiet.
Yeah, it's so quiet to the fact that it's recording, but you can't even see the waveform. And so when I'm going to edit the audio later, it's really hard for me to actually visually see what's going on. And so this cloud lifter, by boosting the signal by 25 dB, you can actually see the waveform and actually edit it, which is great. And what that's doing is it's actually causing some problems with his laptop being on the desk and running the video. When the fan kicks on, it's an overpowering noise. So we set his laptop on the ground for today, and what we're going to end up doing is wiring it through the ceiling to be able to control it remotely from outside.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we didn't realize, just how loud that fan was before. One of the problems when your microphones are sort of broadcasting quietly or they're not as loud as they should be, when you bump up the volume so that it can be heard, or sort of normalized the way that you would hear the show, this podcast on once we've published it, it brings up what they call is a sound floor or noise floor. So yeah, Mike, go ahead and explain that.
All electronic equipment in the recording industry has a noise floor, and if you boost the levels on whatever mic or whatever you're recording to an extent, you're going to hear it. You'll hear...
well, and anybody who's ever turned up their car radio too loud or whatever, that dead air, that hiss that you hear when you crank up your stereo and your song stops or whatever, that hiss is this sound floor we're talking about.
So what I've had to do in the past is I have to process everything through a limiter and boost the signal way up. And what happens when I do that, it boosts the noise floor up with it, so I have to run through and actually... It's called an adaptive noise reduction processor. So I go through and I isolate the audio and I tell it to remove all that sound, that frequency range out of it, and then it sounds clean. So now with the Cloud Lifter, I won't have to boost it. And as long as we have a quiet room to begin with, all the ambient weird noise is kind of gone.
Yeah, and it's funny because, we didn't think about it like this, but I mean, there's definitely going to be a little bit of an issue because, this room itself, I mean, it is noise dampened, but it's not soundproof. And, like we've discovered with this laptop quandary today, because this is the first episode that we've recorded since having this new equipment, there are probably other sounds that we weren't picking up on before that now we will.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to pay a little extra attention and see what's going on, see if we, what else we need to do to try and tighten up this room.
Well, right now with your laptop gone, it's not horrible. There is we'll hear the air conditioner kick on or something like that, but even just airflow, you can hear it a little bit. But with the laptop not sitting right on the desk, it's a million times better.
Yeah. So, but nonetheless, it's forcing me to look at my feet every now and then to make sure
right,
that
yeah,
what we're
so
actually
she's looking
feeding
down to see what's going on. That's why. So that's the studio upgrade. We got a new headphone distribution amp. We got the lighting for the video. We've got this curtain behind us now. Studio's coming along pretty good. I'm pretty excited about it. Anyone that wants to stop by and check it out, you're more than welcome to. It's downtown Salt Lake at the Access Building. So,
yeah, and anybody who's been tuning into the show for the last little bit has been sort of a part of this growth process. We went from doing the show from garages and hotel rooms and pool houses and every other place, and we'll certainly be doing shows like that remotely as we go.
You might actually have a few this week.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll do one from LA. That'd be kind of fun. But nonetheless, our home base, the studio, has been a real, blessing for the show. A, because it's a nice, stable environment. B, it gives us a place to, upgrade equipment and house our gear. And we've been able to really ratchet up the kind of production we can do with this show. Because really, I mean, it's still just me and Mike. And so the two of us, we're running cameras, we're switching equipment, we're running all the audio stuff, we're, running stuff into and out of this room. It's really a pretty slick spot.
Well, the nice thing is we were sitting here beforehand discussing, should we do video with this? And I was like, Well, yeah, we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and we're kind of wishy-washy on it. And then it's like, yeah, but dude, we can just plug it in. It's 10 minutes from now. I walked out to the other room, pushed a fader up, and we're ready to go. And so it's pretty nice to be able to do that. Whereas before, we would have had an hour and a half to set up the lights, set up the cameras, run all the wires, and it's pretty slick.
Yeah, it's infinitely better now than it once was. And I definitely encourage anybody that's into podcasting or has thought about running one or anything, come down here, check out the studio. It's really affordable to work with Mike and have him help you produce your show. He and I both will help consult and do a little bit of talking and coaching as you're trying to figure out a podcast topics, things like that. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth swinging by and checking it out. We'll try and figure out a way. Maybe there's a way to do a clever virtual tour or something. Find a 360 camera or something.
Get a GoPro and mount it on my head and walk through.
Yeah, something. It'd be cool to show the studio. And for, people interested in podcasting and wanting to do it, we're asked often, and we've helped out a number of people that, what do I need to get started? What kind of equipment should I buy? That kind of thing. Obviously, this studio is a little nicer than it has to be. But in terms of, I mean, we started somewhere too, and we had a little bit of an advantage, I guess, because of you, Mike, because you sort of had a lot of gear to begin with and wanted to have good gear from the jump, so we invested in nicer things. But I mean,
yeah, definitely. You don't need all this to be able to do a podcast.
Yeah, but
there's
there's
people doing it off their phones. But the difference is by coming into a studio like this and working with someone like me and Ryan, you get a turnkey solution. You come out with a finished file when you're done, and you don't have to worry about editing. You don't have to worry about getting noise out of it, hearing reverb in the room. It solves a lot of problems that most people don't want to deal with or don't have the technical know-how to deal with.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And I mean, it's, of course, not everybody can just zip off to Salt Lake every time they want to record a podcast. But if you're in town, if you're traveling through, whatever, come meet us. Let's do a show together, and we'll do it out of the studio.
So last week was interesting. You got to go to Silicon Slopes. I didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
How was it?
Well, so Silicon Slopes, for anybody who doesn't know, is like a big tech conference here in Salt Lake. Salt Lake, actually, I just read, is number 2 behind Austin, Texas for sort of entrepreneurial and startups, that kind of culture, startup culture. And, there are a lot of startups being founded here, and a couple of the big ones, Pluralsight was one. They just had a recent, multi-billion-dollar IPO.
Who was the one that just
I'm
sold
spacing
for
out on the
big?
other one. Qualtrics. Does that
Qualtrics,
sound right?
yeah.
I think Qualtrics was an $8 billion IPO. I mean,
It's
huge
ridiculous.
stuff. I mean, obviously not every one of them is a winner, but, a couple big wins out of Utah recently have started to help craft this sort of environment where it's really great for people who are trying to start a new business or get a startup off the ground. And so Silicon Slopes is this event that they put together. I guess this must have been the second or third year, maybe. I think 2017 was the first year. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But this year they had 20-some thousand people, or they claim to have had 20-some thousand people show up for the event. It is basically just a huge celebration of technology in Utah. Lots of interesting speakers, keynotes, all that kind of good stuff. Unfortunately, I mean, both Mike and I had tickets to go and had all access to go see all these different speakers and stuff like that. But combination of things, neither of us did that.
Yeah. You went for a little while. You checked it out.
I dropped in. I mostly went through. So they had so they've got the big hall that they do all the big talks in and everything. And then there's another room where they did exhibitors, and they had all the different companies set up booths and all that kind of thing. So I went through that space, and I stopped and I checked out a lot of the booths and talked to some different people, and that was pretty cool. That was an interesting thing to check out. But I wasn't able to stick around for any of the talks or any of that kind of stuff, which was maybe unfortunate. I heard from other people who did attend some of those talks that there were some good ones. And I'm sure it was cool. But like I say, more than anything, the Silicon Slopes event, I believe, is sort of a celebration of just technology here in Utah and the innovation that's happening. So really cool. It actually was happening at a place called the Salt Palace, which is literally across the street from our studio. It was
kind of cool to register. We just walked across the street. Didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, it was super convenient, that's for sure. And so, having it so nearby, we were able to kind of jump over, do a couple things, come back. And so we kind of did that. In large part, I mean, much of last week was spent kind of preparing for this week. I am off.
Well, before we switch, invest in Bavaria.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that, and we should also talk about 3 Million Cups before we get completely off the entrepreneurial stuff. So invest in Bavaria. They are a group. Sort of, they were here in town in conjunction with Silicon Slopes. They were an exhibitor there at the hall. And basically what they are is, Bavaria, for people who don't know, is basically a state in Germany. It's where Munich lives, and apparently Munich has become quite the little tech hub. A lot of the biggest companies, the Fortune 500, whatever, have locations over there in Munich and, in other cities in Germany as well, but in Munich specifically. And really cool spot. So I had the opportunity to sit down at their event that was being hosted in another co-working space here in town, a place called Kiln. Basically they did an hour-long presentation on investing in Bavaria and taking your product over there. They had an interesting panel with a bunch of different people from different companies. I wish I had their cards in front of me right now. I'd give you some shout outs. But they had an attorney, a banker, an accountant, and then this guy, Stefan Jacob, who is the COO, I believe, and a co-founder of Cotopaxi. Cotopaxi's a big like clothing company, kind of like a North Face or whatever.
You were telling me about that. Didn't they get their startup doing like?
They make wool products basically is what they were known for, and now they make coats and everything. More like kind of like a North Face or something like that. But they have like at their core this really cool social message where basically everything they do they roll back into the world and they give a lot back and stuff. It's really interesting. They're worth checking out. I think it's kind of spelled like it sounds, COTOPAXI, something like that. And anyway, so Stefan is from Germany originally and has been living here in the States. And they got their start, I think as you were starting to say, Mike, they got their start from Kickstarter. They basically launched a product on Kickstarter, and I can't remember what he said, maybe like 1.8 million or something in sales.
Weren't they like their number to hit was like 10,000 or something, and they just...
Yeah, it was something really low, and then they just, they knocked it out of the park. Well, one of the things they observed is that of that group of people that contributed to this Kickstarter, 60% of them were in Bavaria or in northern, in Germany and north, so all the Nordic states or the Nordic countries over there, the Finlands, Norways, Denmarks, all those kinds of places.
It could really benefit
from the places that, where it gets cold. Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. So they ended up doing this Kickstarter and finding a lot of success doing it, but then they did a second product and a third product and so on and continued to find success. And at this point, now they're a fairly established company, and they just had opened a distribution center in Germany. So that's why they had included him in this panel. And so it was pretty cool. There actually weren't that many people in attendance. There were only about 6 or 7 of us that were there to watch them talk. So it was kind of odd because they almost had as many people on the panel as they did.
Sounds like a couple of events I promoted back in the day.
So, but nonetheless, it was a cool informational thing, and it was nice too for the few of us there because we got a lot of FaceTime with Stefan and with all the other guys from the event. And so it was really cool. I'll share some information about Invest in Bavaria. I had no idea. I mean, Germany wasn't really on my radar of future places to go to work or whatever, but I've
always wanted to go there.
Yeah, hearing them talk about it, it's amazing. Sounds amazing anyway. And so I would love to go check that out sometime. And I don't know. We've already started to dabble a little bit in Europe through our Barcelona office. Yeah. And so, so why not? Let's do Germany too. So anyway, there's some rare chance or some possible chance that I'll be in Munich this summer. And so if that happens, the Invest in Bavaria people are going to set me up to meet
one of these
people.
times I'm going to head out there with you. I want to go to Spain, check it out. Germany's on my bucket list. I don't know why. I just think it's a cool spot. I also want to tour all the castles and check them out, the old buildings. And stuff.
I think it's awesome. And my wife went to Germany. God, it's been 4 or 5 years ago now.
She go with Leisha?
She went there with her sister and her mom and her grandma and spent like 2 weeks over there. And she just loved it. She said of all the cities she went to, Munich was her favorite. So that's, reassuring. But she said she could have spent the whole time in Munich and it would have been awesome. But they traveled, all over Germany. So I think it's pretty interesting. I'd like to go there. I'd like to go spend some more time in Holland. I'd like to get to Prague. There's some other places over there I'd like to check out. But yeah, Germany is definitely on the short list now after talking to these guys. So check them out. It's investinbavaria.com. If I were more prepared, I would have that note for you. But I'll include it in the show notes here.
Well, it also doesn't help that your laptop is sitting on the floor.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really get to my computer, so I can't be looking it up while we're going. So such as that. But they're called Invest in Bavaria. It's basically, an economic group trying to foster economic growth in Bavaria. And really interesting. Met some awesome people. Got to hang out with them actually 2 nights during Silicon Slopes. So that was very cool. Nice to foster relationships with those guys, and it was really cool.
So while Silicon Slopes was going on, the reason I didn't get to go was I was called in to wire some TVs together for the Super Bowl at Button Down nightclub. They were doing a Super Bowl party, and one of our friends has an app that kind of is an interactive game for football, and it was an opportunity for him to showcase his app. So I went in that Wednesday and Thursday, or was it Thursday and Friday? Probably
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday, wired all their TVs together so that they would work with this app, which it's cool to have them done, and it's nice to network with those guys over at that nightclub. So that was fun. That Wednesday, though, before Silicon Slopes, we had an opportunity to go to Kiln and sit through a startup kind of meeting where it's called Million Cups normally, and they have 3 different locations. They have one here in Salt Lake, one in Lehigh, and one in Provo. And every Wednesday they get together, and startups can kind of showcase what they're working on and get feedback from people in the industry. And so what they did was they took all 3 locations, brought them up to Salt Lake, and had 3 million cups. And there was a couple of really cool startup ideas that were pitched that day. One of them was called Utilize, and we actually have the CEO and founder, Jason Fairborn's going to come on the beginning of next month after their app launches to talk about it. So
yeah, that'll be really cool.
That should be pretty neat.
Well, and that was the first Million Cups event I'd been to, and I didn't realize this ahead of time, but 1 Million Cups is like a big national group, maybe even international.
I didn't know
I'm not
that
sure.
either. Yeah.
They have hundreds of locations in a lot of big cities. It's community driven. I don't think anybody gets paid to do it, but they put on these events all over the place for startups. And basically the format is, or at least this format was, they bring in 3 startups. 3 startups get 20 minutes a piece to pitch. And then, the people in the audience who are generally other founders, finance guys, business people, entrepreneurs, et cetera, get a chance to weigh in on your concept. So you pitch out your product, and they're in varying stages of completion. Like Mike was just mentioning, Utilize. They are, pretty much ready to launch, getting close anyway.
They're finishing the last little few details to launch. I think they're launching the 1st of February.
Yeah.
Or next March.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously don't hold us to that because we don't know, but...
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they were about done where maybe one of the other companies wasn't quite as far along. So they were still gathering a lot of feedback and information. So
yeah, it was really cool. One of the guys that was showcasing his app, it was a financial app, literally met the guy from Million Cups by dropping someone off. He was a Lyft driver working on his app at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dropped him off at this meetup, and he just parked his car and came in with him. And then a week later, he's showcasing his app. So
yeah, it's
cool.
Funny because you just never know where people come from or how they wind up doing this stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the guy that one of the guys that runs Million Cups here in Salt Lake, his name's Robert Bell. He's a co-founder and partner in Investable. I've talked to him as well. He said he was willing to come on the show, so we should have some pretty cool guests coming up in the next little while.
Yeah, lots of startup stuff. Both Mike and I, between working out of Access Co-working, which is where the podcast studio is housed, and out of Kiln's locations, where I've been spending a fair bit of time here in downtown Salt Lake and also in Lehigh, Utah, which is kind of becoming the sort of techie capital of the world, or of Utah anyway.
I'd say the world. It's really up and coming. There's a lot of startups here.
Yeah, they're actually building out. Adobe is building a second campus now, with a third campus coming right behind it. They're building. Oracle has a huge place down there. A whole bunch of the big guys are moving in, and so it's a pretty exciting time to be down there. So I've been spending a day a week down in Lehigh, just kind of rubbing elbows with the people who are starting up businesses and stuff. So it's been.
I'm actually planning on going. Every Wednesday is the Million Cup meetup, and I'm going to start rotating through. I'm going to go to Salt Lake one week, Lehigh the next, and Provo the next, and just do a
I think it's cool.
Thing.
So, but I imagine through all these connections that we start making, you'll hear an influx of tech companies, startups, things like that on here. In fact, speaking of that, I just moved into an advisory role with a startup called Code 180.
Yeah, we went to one of their meetings.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it too much, but probably should a little bit. Basically, what they are is a startup company that's created a curriculum that's basically 180 minutes of tech training, more specifically coding and programming training. And you basically attend their class for 180 minutes. By the end, you've developed a little app, and you've learned obviously very bare bones coding and programming.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a little primer to get you started.
It was pretty interesting, actually, because by the end of the class, you had a functioning app that they walked you through how to build. And in my kind of the last few years I've been working on a platform myself, and they were going through like JavaScript objects and all this advanced stuff, but he did a really good job of kind of breaking it down and telling people you'll need to, learn about loops and arrays and all the different things in the JavaScript language, but here's just an overview of what you can do with it, and then kind of just there's no way you can learn everything. You can spend 180 minutes learning about arrays, you know. So it's like there's no way you can get it all in, but it's a good overview.
Yeah, you're definitely not professional by the end. But like what he was saying is basically the vision or the purpose behind this thing is to
Derek,
take
right? Derek.
Derek Perry's his name, is to take non-technical people and give them a very basic introduction to this stuff. And a lot of the aim is for corporate, facilities, places like that. Like if you were working for a big financial institution or something like that, and you have maybe a class of employees who it's never been their job to be technically advanced, but now they're using really high-tech software.
You might want to just kind of learn the language
it's just
a little bit.
A basic understanding of how to do even though this is programming, it's not really so that they know how to program. It's more so that they have an understanding of the foundational technology behind things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool. Their objective's great. They have a cool mission. I think there's a lot of room for them in the market. And they're also starting to do a lot of public outreach. They do a lot of free sessions that are subsidized by their corporate partners. That are really cool too. But the night we went, it was hosted by Kiln down in Lehigh. And Kiln being the co-working space we've mentioned a couple times, and Mike and I attended. There were about 23 or 22 other people there, and pretty decent little crowd, and I think it went over pretty well largely.
Yeah, it was funny. You and I have a little bit more kind of an advanced understanding of coding and stuff, so our result was a little nicer than most. We added CSS.
Yeah, we got to spend a little time.
I imported some Bootstrap and just kind of messed around with it a little bit, just because I was.
Yeah, we had a little more fun, time to kind of dabble and have fun with it. But the whole purpose was that I had stepped into this advisory role with them, and I hadn't actually seen their product yet, so it was important to get out and see it.
Yeah. So you're going to LA. What's up with that?
Yeah. So, as we do every now and then, we're heading out to Los Angeles, basically trying to find some new business. I would love to find some clients where it's warmer.
And
give
a reason
give
to go
me
there
an
more.
excuse to travel a little more regularly. But outside of that, I feel stupid even talking about it because I'm 40 years old. Well, 38 years old, not actually 40. But the big reason, or the thing that drove the whole trip, is basically my favorite little pop singer, my favorite Danish pop singer, Mø. We would call her probably Mo here in the States, but it's M-O with a line through it. Everybody's heard her song "Lean On," with Major Lazer. So if you don't know her from anything else, you've definitely
that's where
heard
you would
that
know
song.
her from. But Ryan is, I would say, borderline obsessed.
That's not true, but I am a fan, and I've been following her for a number of years now. At this point, 4 or 5 years. Back when she was pretty new to the stage, especially here in the States. And I've gone to LA maybe once a year to see her perform, basically since she started touring. And so, but this time, I'm doing what is called the Mini Mo Tour. Although it's not much of a tour anymore now. It's only 2 dates
like
instead of 3. But
a 14-year-old girl in the 80s with New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, right. It may
or
as well
Backstreet
be
Boys.
Yeah,
or...
it may as well be NSYNC or whomever. But instead of I was going to do 3 dates. She's basically got a little Southern California thing happening. She's doing San Diego, LA, then Santa Ana. I will just be going to LA and Santa Ana.
So
now.
what you need to do is be like the dude at Silicon Slopes that had the balloons.
Yeah, right.
They got just take a couple big ass balloons and then write Mo.
Yeah.
Contact.
Yeah, something.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. So I'm going out there to see her in large part. However, the grand plan is, turn this into a business trip as well. So
you're meeting with Eggs alum Ben Burns.
Yep, I'm going to meet Ben Burns. He's one of the guys over at The Future. If I had my computer in front of me, I'd look up the number. But basically, earlier episode of Eggs, probably in the 80s somewhere, was Ben Burns and Matthew Encina, both from The Future. So the plan is to go out. I'm going to meet him on Thursday, I believe.
58, episode 58.
Episode 58 is Ben Burns. He has a really interesting backstory and a lot of parallels in my own career. When we went out, Mike and I went out to Santa Monica before to interview Chris Doe, who is sort of the chief over there at The Future and also CEO at Blind. He we had gone out to see him, and the hopes was to catch up with Matt and Ben and everybody who'd come on the show, as well as some of the other alumni and future alumni of the show. Melinda Livesey, and episode coming in the not too distant future, Macy Serafi.
Who is she?
She is a designer and runs a design agency out there.
She does the typography
Macy
stuff.
Serafi Design. She's also a teacher. I'm going to mess up the school. I want to say it's at Cal State or at Cal or UCLA or one of these nice Southern California colleges. She teaches typography over there. She also partnered with Zach Schmies.
The one that we had issues with Zencaster.
Yeah, who we talked about a couple weeks ago. We'd published an article that you can go check out over at it's called The Carton on Medium. You can get there by going to eggscast.com though, and we'll share some links. But basically, Zach has a company called Straight Method. He's collaborated just by happenstance both with Melinda Livesey and with Macy. Macy did a typography manual with him. Melinda did a corporate or a brand strategy product with Zach. And so anyway, I'm actually going to be meeting Macy in person on this trip. We've had one phone call before, and then we're getting together in person while I'm down there right after I meet with Ben Burns. And then she's coming on the show, I think, near the end of the month, something like that. So anyway, so it'll be interesting to have her on, but I wanted to get to know her a little bit ahead of time, and this is a good opportunity to do it, just trying to network in Southern California.
Nice.
So anyway.
You're also going to, I think you're meeting up with Johnny, too, going down and checking out his new...
Also an Eggs Show alum, John E. Necro, but John Edney from OPM, former singer of OPM or current singer of OPM. I'm not sure what their status is. But he, when we were down talking to him before, he was part of the Eggie award-winning longest episode of the year.
Yeah.
Last year, the big two-part bomber with OPM.
With what was it, like an hour and a half each one?
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 hours of conversation. It was really good talk. But in that episode, he talked about his new brewery and that they're opening a brewery in Thousand Oaks, California. Apparently, that's a little further down the line now. So I'm going to go out to Thousand Oaks Thursday morning before I meet Ben. Thursday's going to be insane, and catch him, and then Thursday night, after meeting Ben and after meeting Macy, I will go to the Wiltern and catch Mo, where I have VIP tickets, VIP parking, and all that stuff because I totally sprung to go to my Mo show.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
so I'll be
nice.
seeing her at the Wiltern, which is a cool old theater there in LA. The next night, on Friday night, well, so far we're still trying to book up Friday meetings, but Friday night I'm going to Santa Ana to see her out there. And then with any luck, I'm not sure if it'll happen or not, but with any luck, Saturday I will get to see Melinda Livesey maybe. I guess she has an event she's a part of out in Orange County on Saturday, so I might go out and catch her. And then hopefully Saturday afternoon run into my friend Curtis, just old friend of mine. But he's the 1 week I'm in LA happens to be in New York, so I won't really see him unless
go figure,
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna try and catch up for dinner on Saturday
Well,
night.
we should reach out to Curtis Casey.
Yeah, he'd be a good one too. I'll be out in Marina Del Rey anyway, so maybe it'd be good to catch up
Grab
with
some
with
lunch
him.
or something with him.
Yeah, something. I don't know. So anyway, busy trip, lots going on. It should be pretty cool. Hopefully it goes a little more smoothly than our Vegas trip a couple weeks ago. So, but all this travel talk has me thinking about maybe your recent adventures.
Yeah.
So as Mike was mentioning, he had started, he wired all these TVs together for this club here in town on Thursday and Friday. Well, immediately after leaving here, he booked it to Denver on Friday, and hijinks ensued. Well, I don't know if you want to call them hijinks. Horror is maybe better.
Horror fit.
Yeah, so anyway, just, give us the primer. Tell us what you were going for, and then, give us the long story.
So I think Monday of last week, this really famous DJ, he's LL Cool J's DJ, Z-Trip.
Hashtag LL.
Yep.
Hashtag ladies love cool eggs.
Is that what?
No, I don't.
So what the hell?
I think it's ladies love Cool James.
Okay.
I think is LL Cool J.
All right.
But
So
anyway,
his touring DJ is Z-Trip, and for anyone in the industry knows that Z-Trip is pretty much the epitome of what most DJs are trying to aspire to, and he posted something on his Instagram saying that they were doing a DJ meet and greet / kind of like a sit down and tutorial. He's going to showcase what his system looks like, all that type of stuff. And I was like, man, that's pretty freaking cool. Like, he doesn't normally do stuff like that. And so instantly I jump on Google and was like, how far is Denver from Salt Lake? And it's only like a 7.5 hour drive.
7.5, 8 hours, I think, on decent roads.
And if anyone has listened in the past, they know that I'm the type of guy that will play Thursday night, drive overnight, 12 hours, and play in Seattle. So an 8-hour drive for me isn't that big of a deal. And so I immediately started thinking about, is it worth it to go to this just to, A, see the show, and B, have a chance to meet up with him. So I was hesitant about it, wasn't really sure if I should go. After, wiring all these TVs and all this stuff, it turned into kind of like all right, let's do it. So I just
cluster F.
Yeah, pretty much. I just pulled the trigger and said, screw it, I'll go. Threw the mattress in the back of the truck because I didn't want it to be an expensive trip, and just drove and went there and got up to the show. Got there a little early. The show started at doors opened at 9:30, 10-ish. Got in there and I had about an hour and a half before he came on. So I had about 2 drinks, 3 right during the show at the most. And after the show, went out and grabbed some tacos. And in the process of the show, grabbing some tacos, I ended up having my phone and my keys stolen. And it was a matter of having my phone and keys stolen is, wouldn't be that big of a deal if my wallet wasn't in the same case as my phone. It was one of those wallets that, or phone cases that had your credit cards in it. And so it's nice because you only have 2 things you got to carry instead of 3. And so I like it.
A nightmare.
So they get stolen. I don't exactly know how. I think I had them on the counter and I turned around to grab some condiments or something, and they just got jacked. And so I get back to my truck and I'm saying it's like 1 a.m. I didn't have a way to call or look up for a locksmith. A, I didn't have a way to even find the phone number, and B, I didn't even have a way to pay for it. And so I open the canopy to my truck and I just crawl on the back, and I'm like, I'm going to wait it out. In the morning, there'll be a coffee shop, someone with a phone I can borrow and call a locksmith and figure this out. Halfway through the night, I'm freezing my balls off because...
But yeah, you're in Denver, and it's winter.
It's winter, and my blankets and everything I need are in the cab. So I made the decision I'm going to break the back window and crawl in and get warm. So I took my shoe off and put my hand in it and punched the window and shattered the glass, just so I could crawl through and get in some blankets. The next morning I wake up and I grab my laptop and stumble over to a coffee shop and start just trying to figure out how I'm going to get this nightmare taken care of. And reached out on Facebook, of all places. Brittany Schwartz, shout out for being a lifesaver on this trip. You saved my ass.
Yeah, a mutual old buddy, but yeah, totally came to Mike's aid. So,
and the worst part is I had recently deleted my Facebook account because I was fed up with social media. I didn't want Facebook anymore. I didn't want to deal with it. And then I realized I need it for work, to manage the studio page, to manage my DJ page and whatever. So I set up a new account, and I literally had to send her a friend request and then send her a message. Are you in Denver? If you are, I need you to save my ass. And she was like, is this spam? She almost didn't come down because she thought it was like a bot trying to troll her kind of thing. And she finally was like, oh, I better get down there just in case it's real. And it was. And she came and picked me up. I was able to... So the whole reason I went down there was to meet up with Z-Trip. I had reached out to his tour manager to see if I could get 10 to 15 minutes of his time just to show him this project I've been working on for the last 3 years. and I didn't even know if I was going to have the opportunity.
Yeah, it wasn't
to
a done deal when you left.
No,
like
and that
you
was
were
why it was
waiting to
such
hear back.
like
a leap of faith.
a leap of faith just to go there in the first place.
Right.
And so she actually emailed me back that day, that like Saturday when they were doing the meetup. I got a message in my inbox. Yeah, we can give you some time. So now I don't have keys to my car. I don't have my phone. Don't have my wallet. Had a horrible night's sleep. Brittany took me to the far side of Denver just so that I could sit down and meet with Z-Trip for a few minutes. And all in all, it worked out good. I was able to show him the app, show him the software. He was intrigued.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to be talking more in the future, but it ended up costing me like $180 to get a new key cut. The phone was a nightmare. Try ordering a replacement phone from Asurion with no credit card, no debit card. I had checks here in Salt Lake, but they wanted my driver's license number to process the check on their website. I couldn't do that because I didn't have my driver's license. It was in my phone case. So I called the DMV. They couldn't give it to me over the phone. They said, go to the website, and went to the website. It only showed the last 2 digits of the driver's license number. So it was a complete nightmare. Supposedly I have a phone coming. But yeah, it was insane. So
yeah, what a mess. Ugh.
But I was able to meet up with them. The show was, or the meeting that they did was at this place called Mile High DJ Supply, and talk about a really cool environment. Like for a DJ community, this place is awesome. They open their doors 2 nights a week to do scratch battles and ciphers and all the product that you need's there. They rent equipment. They teach classes. It's just a really cool vibe. During that meetup, he showed everyone that came. There's like 25.
Well,
30.
that was it, right? This thing was like a DJ masterclass or something, right?
Yeah. Essentially, it was Z-Trip showing everyone, this is how I do what I do. And he broke down his equipment. He broke down his Serato library. Like he has a bunch of cool little tips and tricks that he does that I'm not going to talk about, because if you want to do it, go to one of his master classes, because I think it's going to be a continual thing. But everyone that showed up got to kick it with him for a little bit. He spent 5-10 minutes with me just going over my software and talking about what he would like to see and change, and it was pretty neat. So shout out to him, even though it was a complete nightmare on my end. Thank you for making the time, and
yeah, that's really cool
that.
that he was able to do that and kind of fit you in. That's pretty stand-up thing to do. So.
Yeah. So
yeah, really cool. Well, yeah, no, I mean, between the two of us, I mean, our travel luck has been horrible. I mean, 2 weeks ago, me in Vegas, and now last week with you in Denver.
Your car breaking down on the way back.
I'm terrified to get on a plane tomorrow.
Right.
The weather the weather better be nice.
Well, I mean, coming back, 80 was closed because of wind, high wind, and 70 goes through the mountains, and it was snowing. And there was an accident right before that big long tunnel that's on 70. There was an accident there, and so I sat for an hour and a half waiting for the accident to get cleared. But since the accident was there, it had been dumping snow the whole time, so a plow hadn't gone through. So just for the plow to get through, we had to get through first, and so it was very just kind of horrible roads, down a steep grade, and so I just put it into a really low gear and let the truck kind of just go super slow.
Right.
I didn't care about anyone behind me. They could honk all they want. So it was,
well, yeah, I mean, when the roads are like that, I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Well, and the thing is, you still have those assholes that think they need to be there in a rush and, whatever. But what a nightmare.
Yeah, no, it's the worst.
It was, I'm still sorting it out. I still have to go get new credit cards. I have to go to the DMV again. I just did that 2 months ago to renew my license.
Right.
So I have to do it again and go through the whole process. I filed a police claim because evidently for you to get a different driver's license number, you have to file a police report and show that your license was actually stolen. And so it was just quite the nightmare of a trip. So
Yeah, no. So, I mean, thank goodness, though, that, I mean, Brittany was there and was able to kind of
Yes.
step in and help you out. Good to have a friend there.
shout out to Brittany again.
And so,
I can't. I told her thank you so many times. I've never felt that helpless before. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing how just losing your phone, your wallet, and your keys makes you feel like you're,
Well, I mean, it just goes to show, like, how, I guess, dependent we are on all this technology. You don't really realize until
Yeah, I mean, just
need it.
just even leaving Denver, like, you usually pull up your phone and say, "Give me directions to Salt Lake," and it gives you a nice route. I had to jump on Google, get the route, zoom into all the different exits and stuff that I had to take, and screenshot it so that I would have maps and directions to figure out how to get out of Denver in the first place. And so it's like just the little things that you take for granted that you don't really think of until you're in that weird situation where you have to. So nightmare of a trip. I think all in all it was worth it just to have the 10 minutes with Z-Trip just to go over that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it sounds like just for that FaceTime, it was probably worth doing. And, I mean, that's, ultimately the target audience for this product you've been working on all these years. We've sort of been teasing the last couple of years. These are the people you need to be talking to. So, I mean, it is valuable that you were able to get up there and get some feedback from them. But, the nightmare that you had to go through to get it done is just brutal.
Yep. So, it was worth it though, I think. And the fact that it all happened like this, it's a story that,
Yeah, right. I mean, if it had been super smooth, it wouldn't have been a big deal, maybe not as exciting to talk about, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know, financially and everything else, it would be sweet to not have to.
It added to like $400, $500 to my trip that I wasn't planning, but
Right.
that $500, if it turns into something with him down the road, well worth it.
Totally worth the investment. Yeah, and I think that's probably, good attitude to have about it. I mean,
the broken window, I didn't take that into it, so it'll be about $700.
So, and luckily you thought to put your hand in the shoe prior to just punching out the window.
I
so
didn't
that's
even.
awesome.
I mean, if I hadn't have done that, I put the shoe on this morning. Actually, the same shoe that I used to break the window, and when I put the shoe on, I'm like, oh, there's some glass in there, and the glass wasn't in the shoe. It was stuck in the sole of the shoe, and it was about a half-inch piece of glass that was like a sharp, pointy thing. And when I pried it out, I was like, man, that could have been my fist. If I hadn't put it in the shoe, I would have been 2 a.m. in Denver bleeding to death. So
yeah, so see, that's positive. It's a win.
Yep. But
so cool.
I don't have a medical expense.
Right.
Look on the bright side.
Yeah, right. Well, and I mean, you got to network. It was probably fun to rekindle a little bit with Brittany. You hadn't seen her in a couple of years, so that's cool. Maybe made some new friends and DJs and stuff along the way, so that's
Chris
cool.
Carnes was there. He's
Another
a
big
badass DJ.
right?
So, I mean, it was a good thing.
ultimately it
I'm
was
going to
worth
be
it.
going back to Denver, even though this shitty situation happened. I like Denver. It's awesome. If I didn't have this studio and the eggs commitment here, I would probably pack my shit and get.
Yeah, it's pretty
But,
cool. Pretty
yeah.
cool spot. I went there, God, it's been a couple of years ago now, I think, and got to spend about 3 or 4 days there or something, and it was awesome. Yeah, really cool community, and I mean, just like a cool vibe. Like I was telling you before you went, I mean, like it's kind of, I mean, it's a big city, but it feels kind of sleepy. Like it's kind of just a cool, chilled out town. The people seem cool. It's not a bad spot, and I have some friends up there too. But
having never been there before, I was thinking it was like this, in the middle of huge mountain peaks and trees everywhere.
yeah, no, the
and,
mountains were underwhelming.
Yeah, I was. You're literally just, the elevation goes up to mile high. You're not like Mount Rainier next door.
Well, yeah, no, it's funny because the mountain range is off in the distance. You can sort of see it, but you can't. It's not part of Denver, so it's kind of a funny thing. Because my first time there too, when I went a couple of years ago, was that same experience. I was like, where are all the mountains, man?
Yeah.
I thought this was supposed to be a mountain town.
Well, it's a really cool vibe, though. I mean, like I really like the town. I like the culture. Everyone's laid back.
Yeah, extra laid back now with all the recreational pot
stuff
running around.
Actually, though, side note, I was driving with Brittany, and all of a sudden her car just started stinking like pot. I'm like, do you have a joint in the back? She's like, no, I don't smoke. Makes me tired. I'm like, why why do I smell pot right now? And literally there were grow ops on the side of the freeway, and their exhaust vents were blowing right onto the road. And so that section of the road smells like pot every time you drive
awesome.
by.
That's sweet.
But
Well, cool. All right. Anything else you want to get to, Mikey?
no, I think that's pretty much it.
'Kay.
So next week we have
Yep.
Jennifer Weiss.
Yep. Next week,
Dr. Jennifer Weiss.
Dr. Jennifer Weiss, orthopedic surgeon. We've got Macy Sarafi on the books, so you'll hear her, I think, a little more near the end of the month.
And Jason Troy.
Jason Troy, I think is how you say it. Spelled kind of weird, but
Treu.
yeah, but I believe it's pronounced Troy. And he's basically an executive coach. He coaches CEOs and businessmen on how to make their lives successful.
And we have a real estate expert, Kevin Bupp.
Yep. He's one we've been actually trying to get in touch with since last October. So we were grateful to have that one come through finally. So so lots of exciting stuff coming up. I imagine we'll have a number of startups coming on here in the not too distant future. And of course, we're always looking for guests and show recommendations. So please feel free to give us a shout. info@eggscast.com, or you can just go to eggscast.com and fill out the form. Shoot us a note,
actually,
let us know what you'd like to hear more of.
Do us a favor, jump onto iTunes or wherever you get this wonderful podcast and just leave us a review. Preferably not bad, but
you know that old thing, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Exactly.
I'm assuming that people aren't leaving reviews because they just don't. I'm not taking it personal that they all have
We've
nothing
had a
good
few,
to say.
but the more the merrier, because
Yeah.
supposedly that helps with the rankings.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and honestly, it doesn't make any sense. We still don't come up first when you search eggs. Like we totally should, because the show is called Eggs.
Yeah.
But if you just search eggs, you don't find us right away.
we're there, but not.
We're getting
not
up there.
top.
Well, and I was looking on, I think it's the, what's it called? Overcast, I think is the name of this other app. That's another one of these platforms. And like I had to, even on a girl I met the other night was trying to find the show on Spotify, and with eggs wasn't enough. We had to actually type in eggs, the podcast.
So Spotify, I noticed was different, but like on iTunes, if you type in eggs, we're one of the tops. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, but moral of the story, yes, go out, rate, like, subscribe, share, tell your mom, tell your friends, tell everybody. And, and then, contribute to the show. So you shoot us a note anytime. Let us know what you think, what you want to hear more of, what you want to hear less of. And we'll go from there, man. This thing is a work in progress, and we're coming up on 100 episodes. I can't even believe it. But
Right.
we're coming up on almost
This
100
is
episodes.
number 92.
Yeah, it's insane. And so, we'll be...
Well, the sad part is, so 100's kind of a big number that you want to celebrate, but then 104 is the 2-year.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's like,
so
what do we do?
Yeah, we probably won't have a lot of fanfare around 100 other than to say, woohoo, we made it to 100.
Yeah.
But 104 will actually be the big one. That'll be 2 full years of doing this show once a week. And so pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Big milestone. A lot of shows don't make it that long. So cool. Well, without anything else, you can always catch this show, eggscast.com, iTunes, Google Play, Overcast, any old place where good podcasts are found. You can find out more about me at r2mg.com or ryanrogar.com. It's Ryan, RYAN, ROGHAAR.com. And our good pal Mike over here, the victim of Denver, at djontic.com. And anywhere else?
Nope, I think that's it.
That's it. So cool. Look for us on the socials, follow the show, and tell everybody, please. We need your help.
Yep.
So without anything else, everybody have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time.
Later.